Welcome back to the Dividend Diplomats YouTube channel. You got your boys here, Lanny and Bert, the Dividend Diplomats. Grab your coffee, get hyped, get excited, everybody. We're going to talk to you today about a dividend stock that is yielding almost 8%. Almost, it feels
Ooh,
like every dividend investor owns this stock, except for us. And the question is that going to change here in 2025?
let's make some noise, guys. Smash that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. As Bert dives in, we dive in. The diplomats dive in to this almost 8% high dividend yielding dividend stock. Let's hear it, Bert. What are we talking about here, and why is it now on your radar?
Well, we're heading over to the sin stock sector. Laney and
Oh,
I always talk about how we own Philip Morris, ticker symbol PM.
yeah.
And last year, Lanny was all over Philip Morris for
Dang it.
half the year, right? When before it,
Oh man, I was all over it in probably at least the first 3 to 6 months, out of the year, and then I never pulled the trigger, and I'm mad at myself for
yeah,
not.
and I'm putting up the chart right now, and you can see why Lanny
No,
was mad at himself. Oh, I'm doing it. I'm doing it because it didn't cross $100 per share until June, and once it crossed in June, it never looked back. Philip Morris ended the year above 120, reaching above 130 at one point. So we're looking at the other stock in the sector, the stock that would offer you nearly 2x the yield of Philip Morris. We're talking about Altria Group, ticker symbol MO. We can't, you can't be a part of the dividend investing community without having some thought, some combination here looking at Altria Group. So we're finally doing it. We're going to look at them through the metrics here. We're going to run them through our stock screener, which is price to earnings ratio less than the S&P 500, payout ratio less than 60%, dividend history, where you look at the 5-year dividend growth rate and the number of years you've increased that dividend, and that bonus metric, the dividend yield. But what we're also going to do is this isn't just going to be about Altria. We'll say the metric and then we'll compare it to Philip Morris and British American Tobacco, ticker symbol BTI, to see how Altria stacks up against the two heavyweights within each sector.
pretty amazing that we haven't owned this stock or purchased this stock. I do own this stock, not me personally. My mom, I bought it for her and her stock portfolio some 13, 14 years ago, and she has been rewarded handsomely over that time period. But yeah, let's get into it, Bird. This is pricing as of December
Yeah.
31st, right?
Yes, but like to that point though, that was the time to get into Altria because the path before 2024, even before June, same thing at Philip Morris. It wasn't as clear for Altria that it was going to pop up in the way. They had that miserable Jewel investment.
Yeah,
That
the Jules investment obviously is what really turned a lot of investors away from them and even the industry in general.
yeah, and it didn't really take until 2024 when these stocks recovered, when smokeless tobacco really started to take shape and take prevalence in the industry. So we may have missed our mark in the last year because Altria was up 25%, but they're only up 5% over the last 5 years total. So a lot of the noise, they're back to where they were. So let's run them through those metrics, Lanny. As you said, the prices as of the end of the year and see where they stack up against them.
Let's see if Altria is undervalued in relation to their competitors and the market, trading at $52.29 with an earnings projection of $5.13. That's a PE ratio of just 10 times earnings. Typically is a lower PE industry.
Yeah, so Philip Morris is comparatively at a 17 price to earnings ratio. British American Tobacco BTI is at 7.63x. So not the cheapest in the sector, but they're definitely on the lower end because Philip Morris is just crushing it with the highest of the valuations.
And then when you get into British Tobacco BTI, $36.32, $4.76 projection, 7.6 PE ratio. So definitely the lower of the bunch comes from good old British Tobacco.
That's right. And let's now move into that payout ratio. Altria's annual dividend is $4.08. So that gives you a payout ratio of 79%. But to pause it here, certain sectors go above our 80% or 60% threshold. You would expect a tobacco company. You would expect a REIT when you look at the FFO, when you bring that in. Utilities typically will have higher payout ratios above 60%. Tobacco is one of those sectors. So it doesn't scare me too much that it's higher than 60%, but let's see how it looks compared to the peers, because that will also tell you the story.
Yeah, Philip Morris, their payout ratio is 75.74%. So right there with Altria Group.
Yeah. And British American Tobacco is at 62%. So by far the lowest of the bunch, which is interesting.
Very interesting.
All right. So that was the payout ratio there. Dividend history. Altria's 5-year dividend growth rate is 4.05%, and they're a dividend king with increasing that dividend for 55 plus years.
Granted, there's some grandfathering going on there with Altria and Philip Morris before the split off there.
Yeah, of course.
Now with Philip Morris, 16 plus years since that spinoff, 2.78% has been the growth rate for Philip Morris.
Mm-hmm.
Now, BTI, though, British Tobacco says, I can second that PM. They give a handshake here. 2.5% is their growth rate. Again, it's a very erratic dividend as well that they pay, given the translation of the dividend.
Your favorite, man. So all in all, Altria's got the longest history because they've been around the longest, even PM after the split. But well, no, Altria hasn't been around. What I'm trying to say is they just have the longest of the streaks right now. Ignore that last comment. Dividend yield front, Altria's yield is 7.8%, below their 5-year yield of 8% because of that run up they had at the end of 2020.
Yeah, similarly with Philip Morris, the yield now is only 4.45%. You really want a higher yield in this industry, which is lower than their 5-year average of 5.34%. So that 26% run up really has impacted, a lot of these tobacco stocks across the board. So they're down by almost a full percent from their 5-year dividend yield average.
Absolutely wild. And BTI is a yield of 8.23% with a 5-year yield of 7.77%. So they are above their 5-year average too.
Wow, above their 5-year average for BTI. Very interesting.
Very.
So, Bert, what happened at the end of the year across the board for these stocks? The last month or so.
They all went down. That's what really brought this up on our radar here. It's part of it too. Altria was down 8.55% in the last month. PM was down 8%. BTI was down 3.74% to end December. So while things were great for most of it, there was a little bit peaking and a little bit of coming down at the end of 2024.
A little bit of peaking, a little bit of coming back to earth, at least a little bit, which is nice to see, especially for us dividend investors here, guys. So again, that was MO, PM, BTI. We'll throw all three stocks here up on the screen. So Bert, do you like any tobacco stock right now? Altria, do you like the MO stock? What will it take?
Well, starting with MO, I still think this is still not going to be in my portfolio. I think we missed our window to probably buy Altria. We probably missed our window to buy all of these companies in 2024. You had it early on in 2024, Lanny, before the prices rose. That was probably your time to grab any tobacco stock.
Goes back to act with conviction. If you guys remember, this past weekend's video about, just how am I trying to set up 2025, just conviction.
Yep, that's right. But even just taking that out of the equation, those metrics are still looking significantly better than compared to Philip Morris, their big competitor. What I'm most surprised about is British American Tobacco's metrics. They seem just different all over the place, like a different kind of tobacco company, different kind of structure compared to the other two. That 7.6 PE ratio, lower payout ratio, and even higher yield than Altria. It's an interesting little combination to take a look at.
Yeah, it really is. Let us know, guys, in the comments. Are you buying Altria Group stock? Are you buying Philip Morris stock? Have you been buying BTI stock? Let us know which tobacco stock fits in your dividend stock portfolio.
Yeah, and let us know what your thoughts are on the sector too. I know there are a lot of people that don't buy tobacco, and I get that. There are certain sectors that people want to stay away from. Understand that entirely too. Let us know if that's your position on tobacco in the comment section below.
Guys, there we have it. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to this channel. Let's all get to financial freedom together. And remember, Jack, you're either with us or you're against us, Jack. That was Bert the Hurt and Lanny from the DD. Over and out.